Okay, so in this video we are going to show you how to create a PDF style quote that you see here, where we have some static elements like the quote name, the quote, your logo, but also some dynamic elements that are taken from the quote calculator that your customer filled in. And these elements, the dynamic elements, will be loaded from a table and then displayed in the PDF document style quote. So basically how this works is that you create a price quote calculator that is either on your website or on a standalone page. When you do a submission, the data from the price quote calculator is sent to a table. So that's the first thing we are going to show, how to connect the calculator data to a table. And then immediately after a document, the table data is used in the document calculator, and that is the calculator we just showed. So the quote calculator that we are going to use is just a basic calculator that we have available in our templates. This specific one is for screen printing businesses, where we have a couple of configurations like garment selection, total quantity, print locations, and a number of colors on the print. And based on the configuration, the price changes. So if we change these sliders or choose another garment, then the price per shirt and the total price changes. Eventually, on live calculators, if you want to request a quote, you fill in the name, email, phone number, and request a quote. So what we are going to do is send this submission data to a table. So that's the second thing we need for this, is a table. And when we open a table, it's basically a standard configuration with an email, first name, and price. So we need to add the different columns for all the elements within the input calculator. So for all these elements like garment selection, quantity, we need to create a column in the container and then connect the quote calculator to this table on submission. And then eventually this is the document calculator, which is also available as a template. At the moment we see some replace by name from table, some placeholder formulas, but with some newly created formulas. In this case, the table find first function and the index function, we are going to load the data from the table in this document calculator. So first I need to create all the different columns in this table. So I'm gonna pause the video and then pick up when I've created all the different columns. I have all the columns that we need in the table. So email, name, garment selection, quantity, print details. You can see here it's different types, right? So quantity is a number, and for instance the print details is a text field. Price per shirt, total price, email ID. We are going to use this to securely load the table data in the document calculator, and last but not least the phone number. So now it's time to connect the quote calculator to the table. This flow is going to change a little bit in our interface, but the basics will remain the same. So you go to settings, connect, table, sync data to table. Usually it's untoggled, so you toggle this, select the right table. Let's see, we go to demo table, so TB, demo table, and then you can make basically your connections. I always start on the right, so because this list will become smaller once I make more connections. So first let's start with the email. Email, you can type, boom, your best email, full name, your full name. So it's basically the email column in the table, and then the question. Comment selection, there it is, quantity, total quantity, print details, yes, print details. That is a variable, and description, there it is, price per shirt, which is price per shirt, and then total price, what's the total price, the email ID, that's also a variable, that is the email ID, and the last one, phone, your phone number. So basically this step is now completed. Let's press publish. Okay, and then do a test submission to see if all the questions are properly connected to the table. So let's go to the preview window and change some of these configurations. Quantity at 50, maybe another print location with 3 colors on the back. So this is the price per shirt, total price. The name, John Doe. John at doe.com, telephone number, doesn't really matter. Then request quote. It's now submitted successfully, so let's go to the table, and yes, there it is. We have some entries in the table. So now we have basically completed step 1 and step 2 from this sequence. We have the price code calculator, we created a table, and we connected both. And now it's time to connect the table to the document calculator. And like I showed earlier, we'll do that with table functions. In this case, the table find first function, which returns the first row from a table that matches the value we are looking for in a given column. So let's copy this this formula. Go to here, create another variable where we are going to fetch that table row, and we'll just go by it one by one. So the table reference is over here, is TB. Column reference, in this case we are going to reference the email ID, which is actually column H in the table. So column reference is H. Find first is the find column value, so the value in the table that it needs to find, and in this case it is the email ID, and that ID gets loaded from the URL, from the quote calculator into this calculator via a query parameter. Probably we'll explain later, but find column value is QB, and we need to fetch the label. So if we do QB, the value will be 1 because it's filled, and if it's empty, the value will be 0. But if we want the label, we need to do label. Sort column reference is will sort by email, and the sort or email is 0 or A. Let's do A. And sort column order, let's do 1. And now the error message is gone, and we basically have a list of the row we need to find. So the next step is to replace all these dynamic formulas with the proper number from the table row that we just fetched. We'll do that with the index function. So we will replace this by index. The index function has 2 arguments where we need to look. First, that is the row that we just fetched, VB, And the second one is the column, and name is in column B, so we'll do B, and here we go. And it already loads John Doe. If we look at the table overview, the name in column B is indeed John Doe. So let's do the same for the other dynamic formulas. So email was A, the phone was I, the garment selection is C, it is capital sensitive. This is the details RE, quantity is in column D, the unit price is in column F, price per shirt, but we need it in 2 decimals, so let's change the decimals, and we also want to add the dollar prefix. The total price is in column G. We'll do the same, 2 decimals, and add the dollar sign, and we can copy that to here as well. And the final one is our additional comments, which is in J. So there we have it. There we have it. The final thing we need to do is publish the calculators, make them available on a standalone page, and then create the URL to load the document calculator in a new window after submission. So let's first go to share on a page, allow standalone page, where we have the link of this calculator of the standalone page. Press republish. So if I load this URL blank, so just the URL, you'll see a lot of blank dots because it doesn't know which row to load, but we can fix that. So let's go to the first calculator, the quote calculator, and there we have request quote. We'll need to toggle use as form submission, so we'll use this as form submission, redirect to a custom page after submission, open in a new tab, and insert the custom redirect URL. And then the second thing we need to insert is the query parameter, because that is how we tell the document calculator the email ID. That email ID gets loaded in the hidden field, and with that information the calculator is able to fetch all the correct data. So I'll just copy it and I'll explain. So query parameters, it's a bit of a different topic, but it starts by appending the URL firstly with a question mark, then the query parameter name, which is email ID, and we want to attach the email ID to that as well, and in this case that's a formula VN. I can show VN here, VN, which is basically a encryption of the email. In the document calculator, when you see email ID, set the default for query parameter has to be toggled on, and the query parameter name is email ID, ID, is it email ID or ID? Let's check. Go to the button again. Email ID. So let's just copy paste. That's a bit more safe. Email ID, and there we go. Done. Let's republish. And so the final thing left to do is to test the calculator, test all connections, and see the result. So let's go to share, copy the URL, open a new window, load the calculator, and we'll change some configurations. We'll do the next level, 39, also have a backprint. Let's do 3 colors, 2 colors. This doesn't really do anything except change the price, but let's have my name, buzz@email.com. Phone number, it's optional, but let's do it anyway. And I have no other comments. So when I click request quote, a new page should open with the document calculator that has all the proper data in the table. Success. And there it is. Quote to Buzz at email. So basically all the data from the quote calculator is now inserted into a document calculator. Easy does it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to watch it again and pause on the moments where you need it to, because although it's not too complicated, it's also not easy, but in the meantime it is very powerful. So good luck and all the best in creating your document style PDF calculators. Cheers!